Good morning, guys. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Quick one today. Something that's top of mind again. I spoke to one of my clients a couple of days ago now, and we're currently going back and forth analysing a rent-to-rent deal. And I just wanted to jump on and go through what we discussed, because I think it could be helpful to someone who's maybe trying to get their own rent-to-rent deals, and they might have the wrong perspective of what to expect. So my student Nahid, he has gone from not knowing anything about rent to rent over the last 4 or 5 months to getting pretty good at it, and he understands how it works, he understands how to communicate it now. So most of the work has been done, and he's currently made, I think this will be his second or third offer on a HMO. So going back to our metrics of what gets you your first deal: 100 units of outreach, 20 viewings, 3 to 4 offers should get you your first deal if you're doing everything right in terms of your messaging and marketing. So he's about to make his third offer, but he's in two minds, because we've worked out that there's around 700, maybe 800 pounds a month of profit in this deal. And I'm saying to Nahid, that's a good amount of money to make from a £4,000 or £5,000 investment. But he didn't want to pull the trigger on it, and he keeps going back and forth with me saying, I'm not sure. So being the mentor that I am, I had to dig into his mind a little bit and see exactly what's holding him back, because there's other students that we've got that have jumped at a chance to make 700, 800 pounds a month profit and never looked back, replaced their incomes, quit their jobs, gone on to make 5, 10 grand a month. So I'm trying to work out with Nahid what the problem is, what the issue is, and why he's not going ahead with this deal. So we're going back and forth on WhatsApp, and this particular property that he's looking at is a 10-bedroom HMO. It hasn't got en suites, but it does have like a sink in some of the bedrooms. It's got 4 off-suite bathrooms, so still a good amount of bathrooms. And once we've done all the numbers, we can see a clear £700 to £800 a month for profit. Now, the landlord originally wanted around 4k for it a month. We've got him down to 2,900 over 3 years. So fantastic negotiation from Nahid. So from that respect, he's done everything right, but he still can't pull the trigger. So I'm saying to him, what's the problem? Why are you not going ahead with it? And it's two main things, really. The first one is limited capital. So sometimes when we only have a certain amount of money, whatever that amount may be, 5 grand, 10 grand, it's normally under sort of 30k in savings. When we only have that amount of money saved, we are still in survival mode, and we're very much trying to hold on to that money for dear life, because we're thinking about surviving, and we're so scared of losing that small bit of money that oftentimes that fear holds us back from using that money to make more money, because it feels risky. It feels too dangerous to do. It feels much safer to hold on to that money and just protect it, But I'm trying to help my clients who are coming from this background, because I came from this background too, this sort of poor middle class background where we try and save every penny we have, not knowing that we're actually losing out on future gains by not putting the money to work. So by leaving the money sitting in the bank, with the cost of inflation, I think it's around 2-3%. I'm not 100% sure in the UK at the moment, but it's probably a little bit more than that, guys, if we're being honest. We know the government has a tendency to not tell us the truth all the time, right? We should know that by now. So it's probably around 5%, maybe more. So that means every 10 grand you leave in the bank, you're losing £500 of that every year. Not physically, but when you go out to spend it, when you draw it out to use it, everything else would have increased. So that £10,000 thing will be £10,500, and so on and so on and so on. So you're losing money. Also, oftentimes our behavior, our emotions can make us spend money sometimes on impulsive decisions. So maybe you feel like you deserve a holiday, or you have a birthday party coming up and you want to look nice, so you go and spend a bit more money on yourself than you would normally, or you go and buy a nice piece of jewelry or a watch, or maybe you want to buy your girlfriend or boyfriend a present for their birthday, and before you know it, you've dipped into that 5, 10, 15 grand of savings significantly because of an emotional decision. So what I try and teach my clients is money is a tool to use to make more money. It's as simple as that. So everything else is noise. Money is a tool to use, a resource to put into something that's going to generate more money. That's it, in its most simplest form. So when you're worrying about investing money into a business or an asset, an investment, a house, for example, that you're going to rent out, you shouldn't worry too much, because you're putting it into a vehicle that's going to turn that money into more money. And that's the name of the game. That's what you should be doing. That's what separates the wealthy from the middle and lower classes, is their understanding of money and how to use it. So that's one thing that's holding the Hid back. And we're working on it. We're working on him improving that mindset, right? And it can take a bit of time. But soon, I said to him, he's going to have to take a leap at some point. So he's going to have to go for it. And he keeps getting opportunities, so another one will come because he's doing everything else right. But at some point, he's going to have to jump off the ledge and put that money into something, a rent-to-rent deal, that's going to turn that 5 grand into 10 grand by the end of the year, 50 grand over the next 5 years. And then he's really talking. He's got enough for a buy-to-let deposit, and he's got 20 grand of operational capital in his business to use to acquire more deals and grow it. So that's the first thing holding Nahid back. Mindset around money, fear of losing money because he's thinking with his reptile brain and not with his entrepreneurial brain. And he's in survival mode, which is holding him back from becoming a better version of himself, a more wealthy version of himself. So mindset is number one. The second thing holding him back is perspective. So he's been on my social media. That's how he found me in the first place. And he's been looking at my numbers and my deals. And because I've got a 10-bedroom all ensuite HMO on a rent to rent that makes 2 grand a month profit, and has done for the last 5 years, 5-6 years, something like that. He was analysing his deal as if it wasn't as good as mine. So it made him feel like his deal wasn't good enough to take on. So once he revealed that to me yesterday on WhatsApp, I said to him, you shouldn't be comparing yourself to me, because I've been doing this for 8 years now. You've just started. You're like 5-6 months in to learning a completely new skill. So you can't compare apples with oranges. You can't compare someone who's been doing this day in, day out for the last 8 years to someone who's only just started doing it over the last 5 months. It's not a realistic or fair comparison, and you're going to give yourself a misguided perspective on what is a good deal and what's not. I said to him, we've got some students that are making £600 a month from a rent to rent. We've got some that are making £1,500 a month. One of ours makes £2,000, you know, but they're not all like that. And I want to make that clear because I want you to have a realistic expectation of what you can achieve. So what was holding Nahid back is not just his mindset around money and being in reptile survival mode, but also his perspective of what was a good deal, or what is a good deal and what isn't. So now we've had that conversation, he's like, oh, I thought all your deals made £2,000 a month. And that's wrong, you know, they don't all make £2,000 a month. They're not all like that. Some of them make 600, 700. My most recent one I took on this year makes 800 a month. So that being said, to make £600, £700, £800 a month from a property that you don't own is still an amazing return if you consider other investments. You know, if you look at stocks or shares, you might get 7% a year on a stock, a good stock. If you look at buying a buy-to-let, you might get 10% back from the rent every year, and the house might go up 5% a year, so you're getting around 15% back, but you've got borrowing costs on a mortgage of around 5%. So let's say from a buy-to-let you get back 10% a year, and half of that 10%, to realize it, you have to refinance the additional equity after a year, and that takes a lot of paperwork. You lose a couple percent on fees, mortgage fees, broker fees, solicitor fees, etc. So really, a buy-to-let probably makes you around 7% a year. Yeah, around 7% a year, you know, if you're doing it just very straightforward, vanilla, put a tenant in there and rent it out. So if stocks and buy-to-let make you around 7%, but a rent-to-rent that you put £5,000 into can make you 100% back by the end of the year, it's a no-brainer. It's such more an aggressive investment vehicle, and it's really how you can make money quick. You know, you need to have fast pounds, which is your business, your rent-to-rent business, which generates cash flow quickly. But then you also need to have slow pounds, which is investing in long-term assets, compounding growth. Slow pounds, I call them. So now that Nahid has adjusted his perspective and he understands that £700, £800 a month profit is still a fantastic return on a £5,000 investment, and now that he's working on his mindset and pivoting from his reptile survival mindset to his entrepreneur mindset, I know the next opportunity that comes his way, he's going to grab it with both hands. So that's my morning rant over. Just to summarize, the two things holding Nahid back, and probably some of you as well: your reptile mind, being in survival mode. You need to think like an entrepreneur. Money is a tool to use to make more money. And the second thing is your perspective. Not every deal is going to make £1,000, £2,000 a month, but £600 a month profit from a £5,000 investment is still a very good bit of business. You're going to have your money back within 7-8 months, and if you've got a 3-year term, a 5-year term, you're going to make a very good return on your capital invested. So adjust your perspective, adjust your mindset, and go out there and win. I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. If you want me to help you start or scale your rent-to-rent business, I'll put a link in the video description below. Click the link, book in a free call with myself. On that call, we'll have a chat, see if we're a good fit to work together. If so, great. I'd love to help you get to where you want to get to. If not, then that's fine too. Keep watching my videos, keep learning, keep getting inspired by my students, and have a great day. Peace and love always.